need them. Now, the pain of someone giving up where they earn from is painful, but it is more painful later on to see that someone is having a structure there and making money, while these ones were told to vacate and give up their business. Indeed, it's painful and dire, and given that not everyone had a preparation of some sort for these exercises, many have been caught off guard. Many are wondering what next after this is happening, seeing as it's their only source of learning. Meanwhile, school fires are also on the rise in this season, and Sironko has a school that caught fire, and students are counting losses. But away from that, Robert, what do you have for us on the local scene this morning? Well, Uganda's Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, lauded the Ethiopian-Uganda 65 years of diplomatic relationships as those bilateral with a mutual benefit, ascending political, culture, economic, military, and security cooperation. She was speaking during the 130th commemoration of Ethiopia's Adwa victory, which inspired Africa's anti-colonial resistance. The Battle of Adwa in Ethiopia, fought on March 1st, 1896, marked a significant movement in Africa's history, especially in the context of independence and resistance to colonialism. It was a rare African victory over European colonial masters at a time when most of Africa was being divided and colonized during the scramble for Africa. Ethiopia Emperor Melek II and Empress Taitu Buturu defeated the Italians' army, preserving Ethiopia's independence during the scramble for Africa, making Ethiopia the only African nation not colonized by an European power. This victory would later become a symbol of freedom for Africa. Inspiring anti-colonial movements, organizers looked at Adwa's victory as proof that colonial rule could be challenged and overcome. Uganda's Vice President Jessica Alupo hailed the Battle of Adwa as a symbol of black strength and Pan-African freedom during its 130th commemoration. She praised strong Uganda-Ethiopia ties in trade, security, culture, and Uganda is earning about $21.9 million in exports. Uganda has launched the National Evaluation Capacities Index, a globally recognized tool aimed at strengthening evidence-based decision-making and improving service delivery across government institutions. The index, developed by Germany Institute of Development Evaluation in partnership with the World Food Programme, is expected to enhance how public institutions access performance, plan, and allocate resources. The Office of the Prime Minister of Uganda has officially rolled out the National Evaluation Capacities Index, an online diagnostic tool designed to access and monitor the strength of Uganda's evaluation system. The tool focuses on key areas including institutional frameworks, human resource capacity, policy linkages, and the use of evidence in decision-making. Government officials said the initiative comes at a critical time when there is need to address fragmented planning and budgeting across institutions. Questions are emerging over the legality of the ongoing by-election process of the East African Legislative Assembly, with some opinions suggesting that the process may have been triggered prematurely. This follows the election of 2 Ugandan representatives to the 12th Parliament, raising debate on when exactly their seats at the Regional Assembly become vacant. George Odong, the chairperson of the Uganda chapter at Yala, has weighed in, pointing to what he described as a misinterpretation of the law. The controversy centers on whether there is already a vacancy at the East African Legislative Assembly to justify ongoing by-elections. According to George Odong, the answer lies in the interpretation of both the Yala Elections Act and the East African Community Trade Treaty. The two legislators in question were elected in Uganda's 12th parliament, but the parliament has not yet been constituted. Odong further clarifies that the concept of nomination in the law has been widely misunderstood in the Uganda context. A key concern behind the law, Odong notes, is avoiding what is termed as dual mandate. This means serving in both national and regional assemblies at the same time. A legal question now at the heart of regional representation remains whether Uganda is electing too soon or simply preparing ahead of time. And finally, from the local scene, government of Uganda has dismissed media speculations alleging that it is advancing negotiations with the self-exiled former presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, terming the media talks as non-existent. In an interview with UBC, the State Minister for National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, reiterated that Uganda still remains with no issues concerning Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Amid March 2026, the National Unity Platform President and former presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu announced he is in exile and left the country. Since then, Kyagulanyi has, through unverified media interviews, proclaimed himself as a politician who is on the run. However, the government of Uganda refers to these allegations as unfounded. Kabyanga reiterated that the musician turned politician is free to return home, expecting no challenges at all. As media claims that Uganda government has taken a path of negotiating for his safe return, the Minister of State and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, lays away these fears, claiming they are baseless. Well, that brings us to the end of our local stories. Let's see what Julie has on the international scene.
Right, thank you very much. I almost called you John.
Yeah, Julie.
Pardon me. Yeah, my brain just coded that. Apologies. Thank you very much, Robert. Let's start off with matters Israel and America, but in a way, this time America and China. U.S. President Donald Trump says he will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in China on 14th to 15th May, after delaying the landmark trip amid the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. This would be the first visit to China by a U.S. president in nearly 10 years. Trump is also set to host Xi in Washington, D.C. later this year, and officials are finalizing preparations for these historic visits. He wrote on Truth Social yesterday. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed the dates as well of Trump's visit, telling reporters that President Xi had understood and accepted the request to postpone the trip. President Xi understood that it's very important for the president to be here throughout these combat operations right now. Leavitt said that a press briefing on Wednesday, Now, Beijing has not responded to the dates listed by Trump, though it does not typically reveal these schedules so far in advance. China's foreign ministry said earlier that this month that it was in talks with Washington over the timing of Trump's visit. The trip, originally slated for 31st March, was delayed after the U.S. and Israel launched wide-ranging strikes on Iran last month, killing the country's supreme leader. In response, Iran attacked Israel and U.S. allied states in the Gulf and effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway for the world's oil and liquefied natural gas, leading to a global fuel crisis. Now, moving on, staying in the United States, an interesting story here, Robert. A Los Angeles jury has handed down an unprecedented win for a young woman who sued Meta and YouTube over her childhood addiction to social media. Now, jurors found that Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, and Google, owner of YouTube, intentionally built addictive social media platforms that harmed the 20-year-old's mental health. The woman known as Kaylee was awarded $6 million in damages, a result likely to have implications for hundreds of similar cases now winding their way through U.S. courts. Meta and Google said separately that they disagreed with the verdict and would both appeal. Meta said, "Teen mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app. We will continue to defend ourselves vigorously as every case is different, and we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online." A spokesperson from Google said this case misunderstands YouTube, which is a responsibility-built streaming platform, not a social media site. Jurors found that Kelly should receive $3 million in compensatory damages and an additional $3 million punitive damages because they determined Meta and Google acted with malice, oppression, and fraud in the way the companies operated their platforms. Interesting. Anyways, flying quickly to Africa, the United Nations General Assembly has voted to recognize the enslavement of Africans during the transatlantic slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity, a move advocates hope will pave the way for healing and justice. The resolution proposed by Ghana called for this designation while also urging UN member states to consider apologizing for the slave trade and contributing to a reparations fund. It does not mention a specific amount of money. The proposal was adopted with 1 to 3. And seeing as the UN member states that need to apologize, US backed out of the UN, right? Mm-hmm. And clearly it's the biggest culprit here.
Well, most of these things, would I say diplomatic comedy? Let me just give you an example. We've had the different COPs, you know, COP this, COP that.
Right.
And there's something called the Loss and Damage Fund, where we are saying that countries that pollute more, let me use that term, pollute more this environment, pay countries that less pollute and have this vegetation or methodologies of adopting to climate change. And this Africa would benefit so much.
Quite a lot.
But there is a game here.
Indeed, as you say, it's diplomatic comedy.
So sometimes I want to refer to this as maybe diplomatic comedy. Because at the end of the day, apologize, then have a fun. Do you see this? Do you see any light in this? Definitely.
What do we have in the dailies this morning?
Well, the New Vision government proposes 500,000 per USE student. If this is the light of day, I'm telling you, government is doing so much in the area of education. Teachers increment, now here, this more money. Private schools may end up losing it or cutting down their costs. Then we see IGG clears sale of ex-UNRWA staff wealth. That's another interesting story there. And compensation of victims' family starts. Which compensation? Still, we have murder suspects visited shrine 2 days after Kagezi killing. Now, they are going to do what? Still, there is so much there in the New Vision. Allow me quickly move to the Daily Monitor. Government softens on traffic fines. That is the EPS. And we have civil servants to contribute 5% to their pension. And moving on, wife of detained Bobby Wine guard speaks out. And UNEB issues guidelines on repeating senior 6. Hope I have the right thing here. Yes, repeating senior 6. And Kagezi killers visited shrine for cleansing. Oh, that's what they're going to do. And Julie, we have Lema installed as first female archbishop of Canterbury. Very interesting.
Very interesting
First
at that.
female archbishop.
And one who is an advocate for LGBT rights. Yes.
I'm going to pick more interest. You know, I was so much against, you know, so I didn't do much research about her, but I'm going to do that.
Against her being a woman as the first archbishop?
I'm against that, but...
Interesting. Anyways, we won't dwell on that. Let's look at the Citizen. In Tanzania, tributes all around as long-serving leader Lukuvi dies. That's the headline on there, 1955 to 2026. Also, CRDB Bank sets aside 2 billion shillings in prizes to boost digital banking. What arrival of anti-HIV jabs means. Meanwhile, Minister orders action against unregistered doctors, healers, in other words. And Nchimbi's call as Tanzania rolls out education reforms. In the Daily Nation, representing 254 Kenya, quote, flat-footed again. That's the headline on there in the Daily Nation. And the other story to look into is fuel shortage or hoarding, state oil dealers clash. Winnie's quest for ODM post runs into headwinds, and teachers' SHA wars deepen. All of those stories, you can dig deeper by getting yourselves copies of these papers online or in physical copies, hard copies, that is. For now, let's have a short break. When we get back, we're having a conversation on insurance. Do you understand matters insurance, Robert?
It's the way to go.
Right, and not many Ugandans are in your caliber.
Wait when disaster strikes.
Right, so this is what we're looking at in The Real this morning. So you have that question, an opinion. Share it to 0709-602-592 as we all understand what exactly this thing called insurance is, and maybe why it's not yet picking up in Uganda,
and
and why it needs
they should also develop a package. There's a way they call them, a cover for relationships as well.
Right, interesting. Let's have a short break. We'll be right back. It's Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. Feeling my way through the Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. The week has started to roll its carpet out and allow the weekend in. It's a Thursday. For many, it's a throwback. That's why the music as well speaks into that, taking you down memory lane. But for now, it's Good Morning Uganda, about 24 minutes on to 7 a.m. I hope you are already up and ready to start the day with vigor and zeal so that you are all about winning in whichever form or shape. Now, fish factories on brink as Nile perch stocks plummet. Fish processing factories in Uganda are facing a sharp decline, with the number of operational factories dropping from 26 in 2012 to fewer than 6 currently. And this is according to Miss Daisy Achiro Oliel, the Commissioner for Fisheries at the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Uganda currently processes about 700,000 metric tons of fish annually, with over 600,000 tons coming from the wild and about 130 tons from aquaculture. However, Ms. Achiro noted that production from natural water bodies has reached its limit, prompting a shift towards fish farming. My name is Julie F. Nantaba with Robert Chiramo-Nyonyintana. Good morning, Robert.
Lovely morning to you, Lady in Black. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. It's not rained, at least this morning.
I know, right? I know, right? But from where I came from, there was a bit of flashlights, you know, thunder flashlights. So maybe it will, maybe it won't. But also the fact that you EDC, Yeah, you
At my
EDC
place,
here.
at my place, I just want to commend them
Right.
because of late we rarely get those power blackouts.
Oh, it's been quite a burden for us.
If they happen, they'll take about maximum 1 hour and the power is back.
Wow.
And yesterday I was going to Chivoga. I met lorries carrying transformers.
Right, okay.
Many of them, about 6 lorries, and I was like, oh, so they're going to improve this side. But the city, maybe we need electricity more. Don't quote me bad, because there is more industrialization, more population here. But of course, also expanding the grid in rural areas is very important as well.
That's
for
very
effective development there. Judy, there's something that caught my attention. Kampala City Council did not only remove vendors from the streets of Kampala, but also in the other divisions of Kampala, they came up and they're clearing the roads. These makeshifts, people who had built in the road reserves, had funny structures. These Mama Johnny Butale, that small, you know, those markets where I buy tomatoes, all those Namasuba, Chikajo, Ndeje, Bunamwaya. I don't know if you've come across that cleaning exercise.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, it's there's something going on in
Yes, where people are removing, they're told, if you don't, we shall come and break them.
Yes.
Now, this is my humble appeal. This time, let's be consistent. Because it is very bad when someone breaks their kiosk or demolishes it, and another person is having theirs running.
Yeah, true.
No wonder I was seeing member, I think KCCA, the Far Committee of Parliament, when they were asking them of a certain petrol station that is allegedly in the way, how did they give a go-ahead to it? So let's ensure when we carry out such enforcement, because people go through pain
True.
to close down their businesses. I remember I met a truck, I think it was on Sunday, telling them, if you don't remove your merchandise, if you don't remove that structure, we are going to come, demolish it, squeeze everything inside, and take them to a dumping site because we will believe you don't need them. Now, the pain of someone giving up where they earn from is painful, but it is more painful later on to see that someone is having a structure there and making money,
Right.
while these ones were told to vacate and give up their business.
Indeed, it's painful and dire, and given that not everyone had a preparation of some sort for these exercises, many have been caught off guard, many are wondering what next after this is happening, seeing as it's their only source of learning. Meanwhile, school fires are also on the rise in this season, and Sironko has a school that, caught fire and students are counting losses. But away from that, Robert, what do you have for us on the local scene this morning?
Well, Uganda's Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, lauded the Ethiopian-Uganda 65 years of diplomatic relationships as those bilateral with a mutual benefit, ascending political, culture, economic, military, and security cooperation. She was speaking during the 130th commemoration of Ethiopia's Adwa victory, which inspired Africa's anti-colonial resistance. The Battle of Adwa in Ethiopia, fought on March 1st, 1896, marked a significant movement in Africa's history, especially in the context of independence and resistance to colonialism. It was a rare African victory over European colonial masters at a time when most of Africa was being divided and colonized during the scramble for Africa. Ethiopia Emperor Melek II and Empress Taitu Buturu defeated the Italians' army, preserving Ethiopia. Uganda's Vice President Jessica Alupo hailed the Battle of Adwa as a symbol of black strength and Pan-African freedom during its 130th commemoration.